on the digging scene with Rodco. We're headed to a Civil War battlefield today. I'm taking the East Tennessee Relic and Coin Hunters Club with me. I have obtained permission in a Civil War battlefield that the owners are redeveloping.
Do any of y'all from Jefferson County?
Yeah.
Standard.
You look familiar.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Todd Porter. He's good.
Todd Porter,
He's
right?
from Hopewell Church.
Yeah, I know you, Todd. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, you look familiar. You're Hopewell Presbyterian.
Yep.
You've heard me talk before then, probably. Anyway, Battle of Dandridge. General Longstreet, who was probably the most feared Confederate general in East Tennessee campaign, okay? He'd come off of a major victory down at Chickamauga. And he was ordered to lay siege to Knoxville. General Burnside had probably 28,000 troops down there in Knoxville. Longstreet surrounded Knoxville, laid siege to Knoxville, and was unsuccessful. They could not take Knoxville. Part of the reason was you got the Holston River coming through Jefferson County, and you got the French Broad River coming through Jefferson County. They come together to form the Tennessee this side of Knoxville. Well, the Confederates had blocked off what they thought was the Tennessee River. They blocked off the Holston and left the French Broad open. So the Union sympathizers up here in Jefferson County were floating supplies into the city right past Longstreet's troops. Oops. And they were keeping them supplied down there. It's one of the stories I've read. So anyway, siege was unsuccessful. They are ordered to winter over in this valley of East Tennessee. And the coldest winter on record is upon us. 29 degrees below zero one night it hit. We had guys frozen to death sitting against trees in the morning when the sentinels were out there were found. I mean, you know, the troops were ill-equipped, okay? Longstreet had 20,000 troops. He marches east, crosses the Holston River, goes into Jefferson County, and winters over in what's Russellville now. If you've ever been up there to the Ninny House, which is Longstreet's billet, that was Jefferson County during the time of the Civil War, not Hamlin County. And it didn't become Hamlin County until 1870. So he winters over, and he puts a defense line from the Holston River all the way down to the French Broad River, and in Dandridge, just about 5 miles east of Dandridge at Hayes Ferry is where that end of the defense line ended. Well, what they found on the French Broad River bottoms was the richest farmland in all this area, and the corn was still standing on the stalks out there in the middle of the winter. All the men had been conscripted to fight. There wasn't the manpower, is what I assume, to harvest all that. So they left the corn on standing in the fields. Well, they were foraging. They could feed their horses and they could feed their men with all this corn from Dandridge all the way up to Newport. They were going to forage this river bottom. Well, Burnside had sent some scouts up on the south side of the French Broad River, and they captured a couple of foragers, found out what their plan was. They decided to come on the 15th of January 1864 and occupy Dandridge and see if they could run Longstreet off and save that food for the Union troops in Strawberry Plains and in Knoxville. So they brought, according to Roger Kelly, and I so much wish Roger was here with us today to talk to you. Maybe he'll show up, I don't know. But according to him, they brought 24,000 troops up here and camped on this hilltop in Dandridge. That'd be 12,000 tents, wouldn't it? On one hilltop in Dandridge, not here. That would be up further down. Now, up there in my truck, I'm sorry I didn't bring with you, I've got a map that shows all the placements, and I'll share that with you, plus Cleve Smith's discussion of what happened in this area, okay? And I'll provide that to you, okay?
Okay.
So Dandridge is occupied by the Union forces. There's a place called the Hines House in their historic district. Dandridge is a National Historic District, and that's where the officers were staying at the old Hines House in downtown Dandridge. So Longstreet's 5 miles away at Hayes Ferry. He's got 20,000 troops in Jefferson County. The Unions brought 24,000 to 26,000 in. If they'd really gotten into a battle, you'd read about it in all the Civil War books, wouldn't you? But all they did,
They were wintered.
It was so cold. They were looking for survival. They were looking for shelter. They were looking for heat, and they were looking for food. You know, and this battle was all about the food on the river bottoms around Dandridge. And so for 2 days they skirmished hilltop to hilltop from the area from here toward Dandridge and out toward Hayes Ferry. And they didn't make much headway either day. The cannons were up on the hilltops. Lily's artillery was set up at what's Gaby Hill subdivision now, and it was looking over Rimmer Creek and out toward the Goddard farm. And on the other hilltop over there is where the Confederate artillery was set up, and they skirmished in between for a couple of days. The Union left under cover of night on the night of the 17th. There was a false rumor that Longstreet was getting major reinforcements, plus they hadn't been able to push him back any, so they were scared about getting overrun in downtown Dandridge, and getting out with all their equipment and wagons would be slow. So they built up their campfires east of Dandridge, where the 125th Ohio was in this big depression out there on the battlefield, and they tricked Longstreet into thinking they were staying overnight, and they left. Now, get this, the 125th Ohio didn't get the word. They got abandoned and left behind. They finally realized they were the only Union troops left, and they pulled back and left also before the next day had dawned. But Longstreet rides into Dandridge, and it's deserted. The Union Army is gone. They get invited into the officer's house, which is the Hines house. The lady there was a Confederate sympathizer, and Jefferson County was split right down the middle in their loyalties. Right down the middle. And so she invited them in for a big breakfast, and upstairs they found in one of the bedrooms that a bottle of Union brandy had been left behind. They brought it down to the breakfast table, and they poured around everybody, and they did a satirical toast with the Union's own brandy to the Union Army that had left town with their tails tucked between their legs. And so anyway, that's the story of what happened during the Battle of Dandridge. Where you're going to be here is LaGrange. You know, there was a defense line all around Dandridge, okay? The road from Morristown came down somewhere through the golf course, probably through the valley at the end of this subdivision you're going to be on. I think it came down that valley, and the OR says that LaGrange sent a picket post out, which was probably up on this ridge, is what the researchers think, that this picket post was up here on the ridge, okay, overlooking the valley and overlooking the road. Jenkins' sharpshooters had come from a skirmish at Kimbrough's Crossroads, which is halfway between here and Morristown, over near White Pine. Kimbrough's Crossroads. So they were coming down the Morristown Road to get involved in the Battle of Dandridge when they ran into the picket post. The picket post starts firing at them from up above, and a little skirmish ensued, and Jenkins overpowered the picket post, and they captured a number of them. And the other ones jumped on their horses and rode back to the main forces at LaGrange, reported what was going on. LaGrange sent the 1st Wisconsin out to rescue the guys that had been captured, and they got into a skirmish in this area, okay? So you may have a campsite up here from the picket post. I don't know how many were involved in that. You all would know better than me, possibly, how many men a picket post would be. But there might be a campsite up there somewhere. But the action, the 1st Wisconsin pushed Jenkins back over to the next hill, which is a wooded hill on over on the other side of the golf course, okay, of the valley. And so they did some skirmishing, and Jenkins got pushed back to the 2nd hilltop over there. Cleve Smith talks about the double hill, that's on past this area. But eventually Jenkins' sharpshooters were shooting down into that pit where the 125th Ohio was hiding. That's why they were down in that depression, was to keep their heads from getting shot off by Jenkins' sharpshooters when they would pop up to get involved in the action. So what you're going to have out here, I hope you all find some stuff. I don't know. The nephew of the owner of the property, Walter Baird, lived here last. He died. His nephew is taking the barn and the log cabin and things like that. They're going to take those things down, and he's going to move them to his property. He says they did a little metal detecting back up in there, and up on the hill in the tree line they found a few mini balls. Okay, I don't think he did very much. Okay, so I hope you guys have a fun time today.
Conditions in this battlefield are really, really trashy, guys. We're digging up a lot of fire burn pits. I mean, you can just see right there's one to the left of that guy in the orange shirt, Ron. I mean, there's fire pits everywhere here. So we've just got to dig the solid signals. we'll get back with you. Got Mr. Sonny Smith over there doing some recon in this battlefield. We got 12 guys here today trying to scan this area and clean all the battlefield items out of it. The best we can do with all the trash in the farm. Fixing to go down to that old 1800s house here and go around the lawn a bit. And hopefully we can find some targets here soon. Search mode here, we're doing some zigzag searching. We're working our way up to the top of the hill. Hopefully when we get up to the top we'll have some hits before then. So far, nothing so far. That don't mean that there's nothing here. Okay guys, Mr. Lucky Matt here has got the first Civil War find. Looks like he's got a buckle of the time period. In the background sure does look pretty though.
It does.
Not too hot of a day. Doing a little relic recon. We got a few items. We'll do a wrap up here after a while. Not too much stuff here. There's a panorama here of it. The troops came from the left and went down into the city, and they had a picket set up on this hill. That's the whole idea right here. Okay guys, we're back here on the hunt site. Ralph's got a few finds.
Gas wrench.
Cool. And of course he is using the classic MX Sport today.
What wrench is that?
Yeah, that looks pretty neat.
A gas wrench.
That.
And this one, you had a kind of a combination for all your gas fittings.
Also,
So next time you go get gas, put it right there.
Can be the sight off of a Gatling gun that flipped up.
It sounds good to me.
Came off of a World War I bomber.
Possibly. Unknown what that is, but it's been carved down, made into something.
It looks neat though.
Yeah.
Could be a knife, who knows.
Well, it's kind of dull and blunt, but tape.
They could have had it on the end of their gun for a bayonet.
Or
You never know.
had some kind of a stick or something hammered on it. Not hammered, but tied to it, and pow.
Where's your
Did you
good
show 'em what you
find
found?
at?
Soldier part. Cuff button.
More than likely. Either a collar or a cuff button.
Yeah, that looks good. Flip it over. Let me see the back of it.
I hunted for the back side of it, didn't find it.
You said that has an eye on it?
The MX Sport boys tearing these Equinoxes up today.
Garrett.
And the Garretts.
Little
And
bucking
the
ball.
Pulse machines. But I think our concentration is on this side of the hill. I think that's
Closer
where
to
we're going to go look next after we take a shade break.
Sounds like